Welcome inside Studio Z. I guess I can call it Studio Double Z now that we have Zeke and Zonk. And this is episode number 2 of the Zeke and Zonk Inside the Game podcast. And that's Keith Moreland. I'm Greg Swindell. Like I said, we're affectionately known as Zeke and Zonk. Today we're going to be talking a little Texas football. We're going to be talking the baseball playoffs that are in the championship series now. And I'd like to thank the President of the United States for getting peace in the Middle East over the weekend as well. But before we get to all that, we have a special guest here on episode 2. Probably needs no introduction. Played Major League Baseball for 24 years, won 7 Cy Youngs, 354 wins. Our friend, Roger Clemens. Welcome, Roger.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me. So if I'm the second episode, you guys better had the president on your first episode. That's I'm assuming.
We tried to do it by ourselves, Rocket. And we needed help. So, hey, thanks for taking the time. And Zeke, thanks for the introduction. My question to Roger right off the bat is: you read all those stats and everything that's going on. Did y'all know that? I know Roger knew this. I did not know that you did not have as many World Series games you pitched. You didn't have a World Series loss. You were 3-0 with a 2.7 ERA. You pitched in a lot of games in the World Series, and none of them turned into an L. Now, just talk to us about World Series pitching.
Well, I didn't know that stat. There's a lot of stats my boys throw at me that I don't know if it shocked you two because you guys been in the game, but. And of course, Zeke there, he's got one of my World Series rings. I don't know what happened, but he snuck one of them out from underneath the carpet on us. But the World Series. I mean, this time of year, I wear my Texas ring or my World Series ring just when I go in the locker room, or Booney had me in spring training for 3 weeks with the Yankees, and anytime I get a chance to talk to them. And they can see that ring. As you guys know, it's something that it's not given. You have to earn those rings. Money can't buy those bad boys. So this is, the best time of year for all of us. I hope so. I mean, I enjoy watching guys' mannerisms. I'm always tuned into that. And Murph, manager of Milwaukee, we're good friends. I think this next year I'm going to go out to Arizona for the first time, and he wants me to visit with some guys. So I love jumping in there when the guys ask, or coming on the booth with you guys during the Texas games. And I like it when kids or professionals ask pointed questions. We try and give them a little bit of the stuff that we learned over the years. Just special times. With Zeke coming in behind there and watching you, Zonk, in the alumni games, and of course watched you when you were active. Those are fun times for me, man. That's the relationships that we have in the game are the coolest things once you get out of the game and get a little bit down the road. But I picked the Dodgers before this thing started, and when you got 4 starters, and what a shocker, we had a guy pitch a complete game. I mean, that's unheard of. I mean. I was shocked by that. So there's some things with the game that I like right now. There's some things that I don't, but we can talk about that as we dive into this.
I know I probably don't have to tell you, when you go to Arizona, take your golf clubs.
Absolutely.
Pretty good. I know you've been out there and you played. I want to take it back to the beginning. I feel like I know a lot about you. I've been around you for about 40 years. And I didn't know your first start also was in Cleveland. Major leagues.
You're right, baby. You're exactly right. You kind of have to go back to when I was a rookie, and Ralph Houck was my manager, of all people, and he had some time on him, and he had some experience. He's seen a lot of players, and I had a great spring training in '84. Coming out of Texas, after our national championship, I was feeling pretty good, and the level of baseball we played, which I found out once I got to professional ball. When I got to AA, that was about what I was experiencing, playing in college at a high level. And I had a great spring. I think I was 5-1. I only gave up a 2-run homer late in spring. And I had the team made. And I was making a team with guys like Dennis Eckersley, John Tudor, Bruce Hurst, There were some big names in there, and of course you had our advanced guys that are professionals, like a that would come down and work with us, like a Carl Yastrzemski, a Ted Williams, guys like that. Jim Longborg was running around camp. So it was pretty cool to get drafted by the Red Sox. But anyway, I thought I'd made the team, and I was ready as a rookie because last cut day was April Fool's, and I knew I was going to get the joke and all that kind of stuff, right? So I was prepared, and sure enough, the clubhouse guy tapped me on the shoulder, and I was watching guys get their bags and leave or get released and go to AAA or whatever it was, and I was ready. Get called in the office, sit down, and I'm trying not to smile, and they're like, "Kid, you did everything we could add." They gave me the straight Newt Rockney, speech. You were great, and you did everything we wanted to in the spring, but we're gonna have to send you to AAA. And I just sat there, and 5 seconds of silence is a long time when you're waiting for the when you're waiting for the punchline. Say, we're just kidding, April Fools. Well, guess what? The joke never came. They sent me to AAA, and I was like, damn, what do you got to do to make a team around here? And so I went to Pawtucket, pitched a couple, good games, didn't light anybody up, and the long story longer, Zeke, is Ralph Houck was my what was his name? Rack Slider was my manager in AAA, and he called me in after my second start and said, "You're going to big leagues." And I said, "Great." And it was in Cleveland, the Mistake by the Lake, and we had a packed house of about 4,000.
Played in front of more in college.
About 4,000 people. It was freezing, and I remember the manager was, oh man, come on, Mike Hargrove was my first strikeout. The manager, yeah. I remember walking my first batter. Of course, you always remember that. I walked Brett Butler on 4 straight pitches, so that was a great start. And I got my first out. I picked him off first base. He was trying to steal. And they did everything to me that day. They tried to double steal first and home. And, of course, it went by faster than fast. And I think I got out of there 6 innings, no decision. And then I won my next start in Minnesota, I think, against Frankie V, 2-1 or something like that. So that's how I got started. And the Mistake by the Lake was a memorable place for me, too.
Well, it's funny because my first start obviously was in Cleveland against your Boston Red Sox, and we won't go over the details of the game, but it was a blur, and it was just a weird feeling, making your first start. I'd never been to Cleveland in my life, and then to go into that locker room and to see you guys across there. I've been watching you in college that same year. I mean, it was a special year, and that was close to being one of the most special years for Boston that year, if it wasn't for a play down there by Bill Buckner in '86. But it was fun. I didn't realize that you also made your first start in Cleveland. A lot of ties are going in here.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would like to get y'all's both opinion, because there's one thing that was different. I had a little more minor league time, and so it took a little bit. I got blended into the professional ball a little longer. I just didn't get there as quick as I did. But there's a young man pitching in Toronto, and I just really watched this. He was at East Carolina, and Greg, if I'm not mistaken, you may have called one of their series last year. And all of a sudden now he's pitching in the playoffs. You two guys went from pitching at a high level at the University of Texas, winning championships, those kind of things, but we're in the big leagues almost immediately. Just talk a little bit, both of you, a little bit about y'all's transition there from, playing, in college you pitch to the end of the bat, and in professional ball you pitch to the handle of the bat. There's just no question about it. So tell me about the difference in making that transition, and how quick y'all both had to make that.
Go ahead, Zeke. You fire away. I want to hear you.
Well, I mean, for me, it was, I guess you could say, baptism by fire. I'd never really pitched against wooden bats. On the Olympic tour when I was a freshman this summer, I had pitched a few times against wooden bats, but these are college kids. These aren't Don Baylor. These aren't Wade Boggs. These aren't guys that I faced in my first game. So it took me a while. I was a strikeout pitcher in college. I thought I could just go up there and strike people out, throw it by them, and really didn't learn how to pitch until maybe my second year in Cleveland. I was still young, fresh, listening to veteran players talk to me. I at one point had Steve Carlton and Phil Necro on my staff. So you're talking guys that are older than my dad at the time when I was playing. So it took me a while to realize you'll pitch longer, you'll stay in games longer if you learn how to get quicker outs. And Roger could do both of them. He could strike you out and get quick outs. But it took a while for me to realize that. And college, I never pitched inside. I thought I could just throw it by people, like I said. I had to learn a little bit anyway to keep them honest inside at some point, and it took me a while to do that.
Well, I mean, like I said, I got to watch both of y'all coming up, and I was playing pro ball, Zeke, when you were doing your thing. But you were a power pitcher. I said the same thing to Andy Pettit. I don't care if you throw 91, 92, you're a power pitcher. Greg Maddox and I, when we played together out in Tahoe at the American Century event, we've talked many times. He goes, Maddox came up to me and said, Rock, that we're both power pitchers, even though I throw 88, 89 with a lot of movement. We still both pitch off our fastballs, and we establish our fastballs. And he said he even took it one step further, saying that in interleague play, when they were doing interleague play, he said he would pull up my games, watch my games, how I was pitching against these guys in the American League. So, we're power pitchers. I was fortunate to play with the ultimate power pitcher. I obviously love Nolan Ryan, but Tom Seaver, I got to watch Tom terrific. We traded for him in Boston. He got hurt before we got to he wasn't on the playoff roster, but I got to watch a 41-year-old man out there sitting at 88, 89, get second and third, getting in a little trouble. And then I'd hear him grunt 94 on the corner, and I'd go, shake my, okay, I get it. I see what we're doing here. I get it. And of course, I was also saying, "Oh Lord, I'm never pitching into my 40s. That looks terribly hard." Next thing you know, I'm 45 out there. But Zonk, same thing with you, brother. I mean, it was cool for me because when I regress and talk about, and I do these roundtable talks. I just did one a couple nights ago in Nashville with Jim Nance. And I talked about, I pitched against Don Baylor. I pitched against Reggie Jackson, Dave Kingman, Greg Luzinski. I mean, these are guys at Fenway Park. If I didn't get the ball inside, it went a long way over that green monster. I mean, so I had to learn how to pitch inside effectively. And I tell the young guys when they ask me, because sometimes when you're coming in there for a strike, people go, "Oh, you're throwing it, guys." No, you're not throwing it, guys. I'm making a 17-inch plate, a 24-inch plate is what I'm doing when guys are covering. Especially a lefty. If a lefty's leaning out over and just ripping doubles off that green monster on me, I said, I got to make an adjustment, and I got to make it fast, or I'm not going to be out here, past the, second, third inning. And so those are the things that some guys get real firm and tight when they're trying to pitch inside, and those are the guys that end up hitting a guy or doing something like that. So I was real effective, too, with guys that stood on the plate. I had a tight slider. Guys thought I was throwing a cutter way back when, and I just agree with them. Like Pujols would be in the outfield, and I'd be running. He goes, "Hey, Pujols called me Heat." He goes, "Heat, throwing the cutter, you and Rivera now." And I go, "Oh yeah, I'm not. It's just a tight slide. It's just a tight slider. Is all a tight, true slider." And like guys with Pedroia or some of these right-handed hitters that are on top of the plate, tight ball game. I do want to go in there, but I don't want to hit them. I would throw that, tight slider at them and try and nip that, that front corner when I could. But, those are the guys, just like you said, you guys, I did a lot of listening when I had Tom Seaver and he wanted to talk to me. I didn't say a whole lot. I did a lot of listening, and, it was wonderful having him around also.
I had the opportunity, like I said, of Steve Carlton. And when he came to Cleveland, it was at the end of his career. He went to Minnesota, got traded to Minnesota after that. But I would go down and watch him throw a bullpen and see how he went about it. And Steve Comer was the pitching coach at the time. And Lefty would throw a couple pitches and then stop and talk about what he's working on, where he's throwing it, what he's trying to do with this pitch. And that stood with me for the rest of my career. A lot of times I didn't understand stuff that came out of Lefty's mouth because he was out there a little bit too. But a great teammate and a great mentor, because growing up, he was my left-handed hero, and Nolan Ryan was my right-handed hero, and it was fun to get to play with him.
I try and encourage guys. I try and encourage pitchers so they can see how difficult it is. is to, if there's all these guys throw 100 now, they may sit at 97, 98 when they throw over 100, 101, is to go out, like you said, Zeke, in the bullpen and stand in as a hitter and just watch what a 95-mile-an-hour fastball looks going away, how hard it, Zonk would be able to preach to that. I mean, just look, I remember asking these guys, hey, what's your go-to pitch, 7th game of the World Series, 3-2 count, money's on the line, what are you going to throw? And I asked these, I was in Astros camp and we had a bunch of new players, 2 new catchers, so I had to try and get them on the same page. And I want you comfortable throwing with what your money pitch is at that time. Now, it's hilarious because 13 pitchers standing out there, 10 of them threw over 100 miles an hour. And when I asked them what their go-to pitch was, they go, slider. 3-2? No, slider. What would you? Slider. I mean, I know there's no fastball counts anymore in Major League Baseball. I get it. But, they got to do something. The only way, and I've said it many times, I said it on national TV a couple weeks ago. I said it last year. If you want to get these guys, these starters, from looking over their shoulder in the 4th inning with 100 pitches, they stand out there a little bit longer. If you'll tie the DH to the starter, then these guys, your manager is going to look at you and say, listen, you got to go 6 innings. I can't have you going three innings.
I need my hitter in there.
Yeah, that starter comes out. Now, if you have an injury, I get it. That's, all bets are off. But if that starter bails after 3 innings, you lose your DH. And that'll stop a lot of that stuff.
Makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
because they're paying a lot of money to guys to swing the bat and play into the DH position, I can tell you. And it's interesting to hear you guys talk about it. As a hitter, I can tell you right now, the pitch that I wanted to look for was a fastball. But on the backside of that, I knew that the best pitch in baseball is a firm fastball in the right location is the best pitch in the game. Because if I'm looking away for 95 away and you hit me 95 in, I got pieces of toothpick in my hand if I let it fly. And so, but if I'm looking out there, I can catch up to that 95 because I'm looking there and I'm cheating to it.
You're hunting.
It's not anticipation, but I'm cheating to think, man, you make a mistake right out there, I'm going to get the bat on the ball.
Let me just hit one more. So the best thing that happened to me when I talk this talk, the best thing that ever happened to me, boys, was when I made my first All-Star game here in the Astrodome. I was a Red Sox, came home, and I had to go up to the plate and face Dwight Gooden in his prime. It was the best thing that I learned. I stood in there, and I got video of it. I made contact. It went over the visiting dugout, almost killed the guy on the batting circle. I had to get it going a little bit quicker. But it's the first time I really hit since high school, except for a couple fun games there at Dish Falk. Best thing that happened.
You own Coach Gus.
Yeah.
Defensive games.
Yeah. Well, you know what I was doing when he put me up with Coach Gus? I was bunting. So I'm standing in the box in the Astrodome, and Gooden's throwing 98 miles an hour with a hammer, and he threw the first pitch, and I swear to you, it went down the left-handed batter's box. It was over there. It was a foot outside at least. Umpire, strike one. And I started laughing and looked back at the ump, and he goes, Rock, he goes, the whole ball was on the outside part of the plate. And it looked like it was over there. And I was like, oh, my gosh. But it helped me understand that I didn't have to be so fine with my fastball. And, again, I like I said, I would encourage guys to go down there and stand in when somebody's lighting it up a little bit. And you see what a 95 mile an hour, and just 95 mile an hour fastball. I know it sounds strange, but these guys are all chasing velocity now. Our relievers look like a blender. Their mechanics look like a blender with the lid off of it anyway.
All over the place.
They can stand out there for 15 pitches.
And that's so interesting because I've seen both of you pitch. I caught Steve Carlton as you were talking about it. Saw some great ones. Watched the King, Nolan, all of them, and all of you guys from Mechanic, y'all were so firm, so sound in what you were doing. And now you see things that are all over the place. Every one I look at, I said, that's an injury waiting to happen. That's all I look at and say that it's coming. It's just, when is it coming?
Yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, it's been probably 4 to 5 years now. Myself and John Smoltz and Charles Barkley went down to Birmingham, Alabama, and gave Dr. James Andrews a Lifetime Achievement Award. Doc got up there to speak, and he said he's never done more Tommy Johns on 15-year-old kids than he ever has. And so that's why it's so important with these throwing programs and elbow programs to try and strengthen those. I try and tell the guys, they're little small muscles you can't see, but do them. I mean, I'm still when I go play in the Bob Hope tournament, or I go to AT&T or wherever I'm going, if I'm golfing, I've got 3-pound weights I'm taking with me, and I'll do a 15. I still do it so I don't get atrophy now, so I can hopefully, the grandboys are going to be the twin grandboys are going to be 9, so hopefully I can still throw them a little BP from 50 feet. Of course, the grandboys now, they have walk-up music and they know how to bat flip. So they
have walk-up music.
yeah. They say, I'm Poppy Rocket. They say, Poppy, did you hear my music? I said, I heard it. And he goes up there and they got a little bat flip. And I was like, okay, I guess this is where we're going.
Oh, speaking of Dr. Andrews, you had a little thing like real early in your career. How scary was that at that time?
Yeah, it was very scary, Zeke, for any surgery for a pitcher. I had an impingement, and I was a better defensive end in high school than I was pitcher first baseman, and I led with my right shoulder. So I had a little impingement that he cleaned up, and I was pretty nervous about it. I mean, it was really weird because the doctors in Boston, who were very good, they really couldn't pinpoint it. And I would sit out there at 95 for about 4 innings, and by the 5th inning, I had to. Thank goodness we're in the American League, because I had to play catch with the clubhouse kid in the locker room, so I didn't have to re-warm up. That's how much it hurt.
Yeah.
I went down to see Dr. Andrews. He was in Columbus, Georgia. Nobody knew of him. My agents heard about him. Said there's a specialist with knees, elbows, and shoulders, and I took trains, planes, and automobiles about down there to see him. He put me on the table. He said, "Can I bring a couple interns in here?" And I go, "Sure." And he wrenched my arm around a couple ways. I came off the table. He goes, I can fix you tomorrow if you want. And I said, oh boy, if I do surgery down here, the Red Sox are going to go nuts. But I did it. Doc said, hey, I did the little surgery on you. I said, he said, you got to do the work to come back. So I got real religious with it. And that's kind of when I learned about my rotator cuff, that I had 4 muscles in there. And Lord behold, 6 months to the day, I punch out 20. So
you got spiked a few times in that game, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to. Capel and Schiraldi were watching. They said you better get him, because he's gonna try and lure you into throwing one right down the middle. He's just gonna get a little base hit to left. Spike's helmet came off. He swung so hard. He wasn't trying to get a base hit.
Yeah, Sox had a 5-0 lead. At the second time up, Roger makes a mistake, and I take him deep. The next 2 times up, punch out. So he wouldn't have the punch outs without my next 2 at bats. He finished the game, win the game, but
Zonk, I didn't want to hear it every alumni game. I'd had to listen to it every alumni game.
You got me. Well, just speaking of alumni games, one of the great things about it is Roger was just right on the verge of playing in the big leagues, and he'd been playing in this. This is a brand new game, and he came out, and a couple of guys got a couple of hits, and I could see the competitor Roger when the ball comes around the diamond. I said, "Look, man, this means nothing. It's January 30th. You can pitch in April."
And I think I told you.
I speed out when there's couple base hits, and I went, Roger, this doesn't mean nothing.
Hey, I said I'm tired of backing up bases on these 19-year-olds already.
I think that's the year Calvin Murray took you deep foul to right field, took you deep foul to left field, and then got a double or something, and then all of a sudden it's like, no, this ain't happening here. I'm going to start getting them out yet. I think he stuck out the side after that. And,
the first pitch over their heads became a ritual.
But one of the other things, real quickly, before we get into that, because I wanted to talk a little bit, because I know you're huge and know a lot about football and what happened in Dallas last week. But I want to thank you. And people don't know, Roger is very influential with a lot of different people in his foundation and everything else. But one of the times he introduced me to a man that in Oklahoma City, Casey was playing. I was broadcasting the game, and Roger had heard me say the night before that Toby Keith was coming, and I went, oh my, he's one of my favorites. So got a chance to introduce me. Toby invited me to a show, got to go to a show, and the people that you have been around and been associated with, and what your foundation does, just talk to us a little bit of stuff that you have done away from the field, Roger.
Yeah, we kind of keep it low key, Zonk, but it's awesome. I enjoy doing it. Every time that we had celebrated our 35th year, we deal with at-risk children. I get about 25 letters a week on my desk over at my foundation. I pay my 4 girls that work over there for me directly. So 100% of our donations go to the kids. We do about 600 meals at Thanksgiving. I make all 4 boys get out there, and we go into some tough neighborhoods, but these people need it. They need to know they're going to have a meal on Thanksgiving. It's a full meal, top to bottom for them. Like I would tell Deb and everybody, hey, you know what? Let's wind this down. I think we've had a good run. They said, nope. They keep pushing me out the door. So we love doing it, but I've met a lot of cool people through it. When you mentioned Toby Keith, Toby was a dear friend. We miss him dearly. He sure left us with some great singing, drinking songs, though. I'll tell you that. And he stayed here at the house for about 4 months while he was battling. And man, he battled hard. But you talking about a patriot? You know, his favorite, obviously, and I use it sometimes when I'm celebrating his life. Toby's last line almost of every concert is never apologize for being patriotic. And when I went to the Middle East. I was supposed to pitch tonight on 9/11, getting long here, but I was a New York Yankee and everything happened. General Myers, the 4-star general, asked me to go to the Middle East. But what I did in those 7 or 8 days was really cool. And for me, it supersedes anything that I did professionally for 24 years. It was the coolest thing I've done in my life. And but I always give props to Toby because Toby, being an entertainer, he takes a guitar, which is his songwriter also, and they go to places and they might play in a base or a field or a bunker where there might be 12 guys. And he goes to places where these other celebrities and stars don't go. And I've always tipped my hat to Toby for doing that. We don't talk 1 week. There's 1 week we don't talk, and that's Texas OU. We don't text and we don't talk. And he knows that. He was funny. He was pissed off because the boys were up at Casey and Cody were up there in Oklahoma, and they won the first 2 games. We were staying at Toby's house, and I could tell it was just eating at him that we were kicking his Sooners behinds. And Toby goes, well, I'm going to tell you boys, they're sitting there eating breakfast, getting ready to go to the ballpark. And he goes, I'm going to tell you boys one thing. We got a right-hander that throws 100 miles an hour with a curveball from hell. You ain't getting a hit today. We're winning today. And Casey looked at him and said, Tobe, tell you what, I know who's pitching. And he goes, I'm going to take him deep. And when I take him deep and we win the game, after the game, you got to sit on the dugout and sing the Eyes of Texas with us. And he said, he goes, and they had another side bet. And I hear him leave. Boys leave to go to the game. And Toby's like, Rock, you know there's no way I can sit and sing that. And he goes, they won't let me back in the state. We get to the ballpark. He leaves me for 30 minutes. He disappears. I don't know where he went. Come back to the suite. I go, where you been? He said, I just went down in the locker room, chewed my guys out, said them they got to win this game. Casey pumps one out into the street off this guy. They win the game. Toby, man of his word, goes down to the dugout to sing Eyes of Texas. And you know what he does? He sings, I've been working on the railroad. Oh, he was not going to sing Eyes of Texas. So that's Toby. That's Toby in a nutshell.
Funny. Another old funny. Go ahead, Zonk.
No, I said it's so much fun. I remember the day I was there broadcasting, having so much fun with it, and we miss him as well.
No, I'm saying a funny story is we're doing a game. We're doing a game on Longhorn Network, and Jolene, you know, the little lady that kind of guards the stairs and lets us in and says hi every game. She comes in to the booth and she goes, Greg, there's someone out here that wants to come in. And I said, well, who is it? She goes, I don't know, someone named Toby. And I'm like, Toby? I don't know a Toby. And then after the inning, I run out there, and Roger and Toby are serenading Jolene with Jolene. Yeah. Jolene. I go, now it all makes sense. I think you ought to have had a good day on the golf course at that moment.
We're a singing family, man. We love that. We loved it. We can knock out about 3 hours doing a little singing.
All right, now, Roger, I'm going to take you out of your comfort zone. We're going to talk a little bit about it's the fall, college football. I know you pay attention, and you're just like us. You're a Longhorn. You know, it was such a stunning, and I'm going to say that because of what took place on the offensive and defensive lines. But what a victory in Dallas last week! It sort of changes the taste in your mouth when that happens.
Yeah, the narrative changed definitely. I like what Sark said after the game too, and obviously, you know, he's got Arch's back. big time. I got to meet Arch a couple of years ago when he was playing backup roles, getting spot starts. But it's different when you get the range. You find that out pretty quick. We went to Ohio State, the Horseshoe. That place was electric. I'm glad we played a day game there, not a night game. It could have got even more crazy. But I just think he's starting to settle in. Obviously, he's starting to settle in. Arch is settling in a little bit. And it's like when a player tells me when he gets changed from maybe third base back behind home plate and has to catch a game and everything's moving so fast for him. And eventually it's going to slow down. You're going to start seeing things. So I'm hoping that's the case. Obviously, I'm happy as long as I don't care what happens during the season, as long as we beat Oklahoma and A&M. I'm good because all my friends in both places, my phone melts if they kick our butt. So I'm happy about that. My boys, Casey and Cody, they are into it big time all the time. They give me, I said, who's the backup? I said, give me the stud running back I need to watch. So they give me all the scouting reports on the guys. They talk about our defense and how great our defense is. So, but yeah, the narrative changed a little bit now. We're going to see what happens.
Now you got to bring it week to week. You showed you can play in obviously the big stage in Ohio State, but that Oklahoma game sometimes, it sets a precedent. You got to bring that energy every week.
Yeah, you got to put your seatbelt on for about the first 6 minutes of those types of games because usually something happens, a fumble, somebody runs a punt back, something crazy happens. And I kind of noticed what I noticed a little bit about it. They had trouble when we took the certain side of the field where the sun wasn't coming in, like a shadow in baseball coming across. There was a couple of pass plays. Those guys, to me, again, I'm watching on TV. I didn't go to the game, but it looked like to me they lost some balls. There were some out routes that were lost in the sun. So there's all kinds of intangibles that play in too. So, but they played well, man. It was solid. Now we'll see where we go from here.
I think, the next thing, guys, you look at it. We talked a little baseball. We talked a little bit about Roger. The last thing I have is when we start looking, we'll let Roger get out of here. When I start looking at what's going on in baseball, we talked about the fastball. The last thing is the pitch that's coming back, and a pitch that, boy, really hard for me as a hitter was the split. And we're starting to see more guys use it. Now, sometimes it's set up where they go to the mound, and I used to watch this as a hitter. They put the ball in the split just to make sure that, hey, he may throw this. But we're seeing more people use the split, and I know at times both of you use this particular pitch. So I'd love for Roger, you start talking to us about what it does and what it brings to the table for you as a pitcher.
Yeah, here, let me grab a prop here on my desk. I happen to have one here. So the split's a devastating pitch, obviously, and it would be wonderful now to be playing now because obviously you're getting pinched east and west, but they're calling the high one, which I love, and Zeke would love too, and then Mr. Splitty shows up. And so when I show the guys, they all want to know in spring training or whatever how we're throwing it. So what's going on to your viewers, and everybody's going to see this, is a split. You have just a little bit of air. It's not a fork ball. Fork ball's all the way down in. And some of the guys are throwing a fork ball now because the balls are so slick. Some of the guys, too, will hook a seam, either with their pointer finger. They'll hook the seam. You'll notice they'll load it. They preload it. Or they'll hook it the same thing with their middle finger. They'll come in here and hook it. And the only thing about that pitch, and a few of the Japanese players, the Latin players, they throw it that way. But what I got from the hitters is it comes out with a little more knuckle effect, and they can pick it up with their eyes a little bit better. When I did the show with the Mythbusters guys came down, and they wanted to see how this split came out and how it tumbled and what the cause and effect was with it and how it came out. They put me on super slow motion film. But you'll notice my thumb, let me go all the way back. I learned the split in 1986. I had a golf tournament here in Houston, and I had it with Mike Scott. And Mike Scott brought Roger Craig in. Scotty, yeah. And he brought Roger Craig in. And so I was able to get with Roger Craig. And I had it. I didn't use it a lot until the late 80s. And, Sports Center came around. So guys, hitters on other teams were seeing Sports Center. And you'd see 5, 6, 7 punch outs on the split. So it became ingrained in their mind. In a 120 pitch game, I might have thrown 20 of them tops. But it's a weapon. And, of course, what it does is, as you guys know, you see cross seam fastball, you see fat wrist too. And you see rotation. When you see breaking ball, where you got thin wrist, right? But split's devastating because you see fat wrist coming at you. You think you're getting 95 and you get 85. Hopefully, and it goes down a little bit. Zonk.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. It goes a long way the other way. So, but that's the split. I mean, the guys are using it, and it's when I say it's a violent pitch, I tell them. They say, "What do you think when you do it?" I said, "I think fastball." I mean, when I'm doing my practice bullpens, my side session, and I'm throwing it, I'm doing everything, and I even talk to myself. I say fastball, 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 split at the very end, and I'm aiming right for the back point of the plate. And when I release the ball, I kind of lose sight of home plate for just a second. I pick the ball up on its last third to home plate, and it looks like a ball. It's like, damn, I threw it too low. And those hitters whistle at it. They think to them it looks like it's going to be top of the kneecaps, and there you go. So it's a great pitch. I love the high strike. I love to be able to do that and then come back with a couple splits down. I mean, I remember, again, you talk about challenging guys. I remember back in the day, I got in a situation in a 1-0 game with a man on third and 1 out in Kansas City facing George Brett. I threw him 7 straight splits. I wasn't about to. I mean, it was a battle. And, of course, back then in our days, I feel like I'm going back in the yearbook here. But when you do that, half the bench screams at you, challenge somebody. That's what you. I said, I'm not challenging this man right here. I'm trying to, I know what he's trying to do. He's a professional hitter. So I love the pitch clock. I tell guys I was pitch calm before pitch calm. I called about 95% of my game from the mound with my looks. When the hitter was doing his batting gloves or getting a sign or whatever he was doing, my catchers had to pay attention to detail because I'm calling the game from there. Now, when one of my guys got traded to the team I'm facing, of course, we had to go back to, Caden's convenient, just your signs and everything. So, I mean, it's part of it. I like the pitch clock. I don't like where they can. I just keep thinking guys are going to get hurt. How hard they have to slide into second now to be safe, and if they pop up 1 inch, I mean, it's crazy to me. They beat the throw by a body length. They're definitely safe, but because they popped up an inch off the base and the guy held the tag, you're out. And so somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt.
Replays.
I don't mind the replays. I don't mind them, and I don't mind the challenge that's going to come into play next year either. But I don't think the pitcher should get the challenge because pitchers, we think everything's a strike, of course. But you like I said, when we throw the ball, I don't know if Zeke, but when you throw, I got my eyes on the target when I'm releasing it, and after I release and get out of my front lead, I lose about 5 to 10 feet of the ball flight, and then I pick it up back at home plate. And the catchers are so good now at framing. Well, that's what I would tell you, Zonk, while I'm thinking about it. We're out here talking about it out loud, is how quick would you have got released, or you would have released somebody if you were a manager, if your catcher showed up and caught on one knee? It's incredible. You can't. I don't know how you block a ball. You would get released. If you showed up catching on one knee, they would call you lazy. You'd be gone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first guy that did it was Tony Pena, and we all talk about it. Every time he goes down, if you're on base, take off. I mean, because he would get late sometimes, but it wasn't a jump you were going to get on the pitcher. With that leg stretched out, how in the world is he ever going to get in position to throw?
Absolutely.
Sometimes they do it with a man on third base. How important was the guy behind the plate with you had a 0-2 count, man on third, and a tie game?
Well, I know that I would be very wary of throwing my split finger in the dirt. I tell you, with him back there on one knee, I'll tell you that. Because he's gonna try and pick it like a shortstop.
Yeah, and that's 1 out of 3.
And there you go. There I was going to say.
Yeah. The last thing is that going back to the split. I'm just saying it's amazing to me that we saw Bruce, obviously the guys that have full fork balls and everything in the 80s. It was a hot pitch. And then Roger, you made great strides with it. And then we started to roll, but all of a sudden now, that's when I was trying to get to the point. All of a sudden, it's coming back in vogue. Is that something because guys are getting better at it? Or is it the velocity, hitters catching up to the velocity better, so they've got to change speeds?
I would think it's because they have a okay changeup. Their probably straight change is probably their 5th best pitch. I mean, I had a decent change. I might throw 4 straight changeups in a game. but I'm going to my split when it counted and when it mattered. And it's just a devastating pitch. And like I said, even more so now because they call the letter high strike, and then you can bury that split if the guy throws it properly. It's a devastating pitch, and it was for the second half of my career. And I mean, it was a real weapon. So yeah, I mean, I think more guys are interested in learning because I don't want to say it's an easy pitch to throw because you can't manipulate it, or like, you know, some guys try and really turn over their two-seamer and instead of letting their hand pronate and do the work itself. Lefties have, you know, for some reason have that natural movement. You know, Zeke can wind up and heave that thing middle. It's not going to be middle when it gets there.
I relied on straight. I needed to hit my spots. I wasn't throwing the 95. Last thing I got is you came out of retirement. You pitched to Kobe with the Skeeters, Sugarland Skeeters. You went up to Wichita, pitched for the Kansas Stars.
Yeah,
but the last time,
you're bringing back some memories here.
Yeah, but the one I'm getting to is your most recent was with the Savannah Bananas.
Oh God, Zeke,
I mean they're like the phenomenal thing right now.
Oh Lord,
how was that? A packed Minute Maid Park.
It was the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life, agreeing to pitch for this man. No. I think Satchel Paige pitched when he was 60, you know, in the big league. So how it came about, Jake Peavy and my teammate Roy Oswalt, they were going to be there, and they put Jesse, the owner, up to it. So they call me. Jesse's like, hey, man, we're coming to Houston. We're sold out. And I'm going, yeah, right. You got 44,000? Yeah, right. You got the upper deck sectioned off, the middle section sectioned off. You got 15,000 lower bowl. I go out there. It looks like our World Series game there. We got 44,000 crazy banana fans. But anyway, we're talking on the phone, and I said, Jesse, yeah, I'll do something for you. I said, you know, what'll be fun? It would be, you know, I've only thrown batting practice now a couple of times to the boys, so I haven't had a bullpen or serious anything. And I tell Jesse, I go, yeah. I said, you want to have fun with it? I said, give me an old man's walker and some white hair, and I'll walk out there like I can barely move. And I get to the mound, I'll rip it all off, and I'll whistle you one in there about 80 miles an hour. And the crowd will go crazy. He goes, that would be awesome, and that would be real fun, and everybody'd get a kick out of that. But what I'd really like for you to do is pitch an inning. And the swear words I said to him right about then, I said, are you crazy? I go, I'm 60 years old. I said, and he goes, I'd really like to do it. So I go and I throw two bullpens to Kobe, 230 pitch bullpens. I go out there to the Bananas, and I really did it for the Grand Boys too. The two Grand Boys say, Poppy, you got to do it. And if you do it, we'll do the gritty with you. And I said, what's the gritty? He goes, they all dance and stuff. You got to dance. I said, I don't know what the gritty is.
I haven't learned that one yet either.
So fast forward, I get through that game, unhinged. Everybody's worried, and I was worried. I didn't want to blow my cuff out and not be able to golf. And I get through it. But you guys will both know about you guys will both know about this. Speaking of alumni game and almost getting somebody's ankle broke with a metal bat. That's my biggest concern. I told Oswalt in the locker room, I go, I haven't seen a comebacker in years. And these dudes are all first-round picks that have not, out of the game and double-A guys, and they can all swing it. And they've been swinging it. I'm worried about if one of these dudes hit one back. If I throw a little two-seamer on the outside corner, I'm worried about a comebacker and being able to react. Well, I get through my deal. Do all that. I got ice on my elbow and shoulder. I go up to the suite where everybody's at, and I'm going to watch Roy Oswalt walk out. O comes out in a wizard costume. The place goes crazy. I think it was the second or third hitter, bullet right off his kneecap. And I go,
no.
And he had, if you cut a softball in half and placed it on the kneecap, that's what it looked like. And I said, I told you, this is, not all fun and games till you get out there and these guys swinging these bats. And then last, I'll tell you, the reason why I said there was the biggest, I thank God I got an ice and a hot tank out here in the pool house. I sat in the ice tank for 3 days trying to get the swelling out of my body. Everything hurt. So, but it was fun. We did it up. And just recently, about a month ago, they came through again. And he calls me. I see my phone ringing. I pick up the phone. And I didn't even say hello. I said, Jesse, hell no. I know what
I like where you are.
So
I like where you are in the stage of your life.
Yeah.
You didn't want to get hurt on the baseball field so you could keep your golf game in check. I like that.
That's right. That's right.
Roger, we can't thank you enough for being our first guest ever on our show, and I just want to tell you, get out of town. And every time you come to town, we need to hit it when you come to town.
Absolutely, boys. I appreciate it, and it's always fun listening to you guys and seeing you guys when I can. There's too many of our teammates, as you guys know, that have gone on to heaven. So enjoy it. Keep your health. Keep that body moving. No grass underneath your feet, like my granny said.
There you go. Appreciate it, Roger.
Thank you,
All right, baby. See ya.
Thanks, Zeke. Zeke, shut that down, and we'll come back and finish our part when Roger gets going. Man, holler, let's play it.
This episode of the Zeke and Zonk Inside the Game is sponsored by Bevy Group, an agency obsessed with blending strategy and creativity to craft standout digital and experiential, had to look that up, pertaining to experience marketing for food, beverage, hospitality, and tourism. Give Haley and Sam Wakefield a visit at bevygroup.com, BEVVY group.com.
Well, I'm glad that you can look that word up, Zeke. I'm not sure I could use the dictionary to do that. Without Google, I can't do anything.
I've been looking at that word for a week, and I'm like, all right, I need to at least find out what it means. I kind of had an inkling.
How you doing this week? Start with you doing good.
Oh yeah, everything's great. Getting ready. Sarah and Haley and Sam getting the Food and Wine Festival. It starts next Tuesday or Wednesday, so they're busy right now.
You know, we're going to start every program with sort of seeing how both of us are doing, and then we're going to have a get out of town moment. Give me your get out of town moment to start this week's program.
Well, mine was something that's never happened in the postseason, and I hope it's not yours too.
No,
we had
I know where you're going, but no, it's not.
We had an 8-6-2 double play, and you had to see the play to really experience and go, how do you come about having an 8-6-2, which has never been done in playoff history? The deep fly ball to center field, Max Muncy thought he had a grand slam, but center fielder goes up, hits his glove, bounces off the wall. Therefore, it's not a catch, which makes the force play at home. Well, the runner on third was going back to tag, and he did not make it home in time for the force play, and the catcher trots down to third base and touches third base because the runner from second is still standing there. So first time ever with an 8-6-2 double play in playoff history. Zonk, that deserves a
get out of town. The other part, finishing that play before I get there, the thing that probably amazes me most is when you slow it down, how close the ball hits the glove, hits the wall, and comes right back to him. It's not like if it goes to the ground, there's no double play. There's nothing. This is going to be, on a basis. But it was so unique the way it happened, and I've never seen a play quite like it. Would be hard to do play-by-play on that play.
Yeah. Keep up with it.
Just to keep up with what's happening. My get out of town moment happens in the Cotton Bowl at 2:30 last Saturday afternoon. The Texas offensive line and defensive line, for the first time this season, looked like, even going back, they played pretty well in Columbus, Ohio, at Ohio State to start the season. But it was a get out of town moment because it was a dominant performance, not a good one. It was a dominant performance up front. They took away the running game defensively from the Sooners, and the defensive front for Oklahoma might be one of the best in the country. And this offensive line, much maligned offensive line at Texas, just took the bull by the horns, so to speak, and just dominated the football game. So that was sort of stunning. We all knew they probably had the talent to do that. It just hadn't happened yet. And what a great time, what a get out of town moment to make that happen in that particular ball game.
Now, they came up big, as you said, kind of a put together line for Texas. And a big thing for me to get out of town could be there's only 4 penalties for 31 yards by Texas. And they've been averaging 8, 9, 10 penalties a game. So that also, with the 3 turnovers, also big in that ballgame.
And now the next part, we're always going to stay within the game, our game that we know, and that's baseball. It's sort of unique in the sense when we're recording this episode, the Brewers at home dropped 2 games to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have had unbelievable starting pitching in the first 2 ball games. So you sort of look at this. I felt like the Brewers might have the upper hand in this series, so starting with that series, but
Oh yeah,
you're up 2-0 going back to Los Angeles, and Chavez Ravine is a hard place to win a ball game for opponents. The Brewers are in real trouble here.
yeah. Starting pitching. We talked about it last week on our first episode that you can go as far as your starting pitching. And so far, the first 2 games, Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto have thrown 17 innings, only given up 5 hits and 1 run. So, and one of those a complete game. So you don't see that too much.
You don't, and talk to us about you just don't see when you saw that 100 pitch mark last night for me, because we're recording this after the ball game. The 100 pitch mark, you think, well, they're going to get him out of the game, but it was one of those things. It was so refreshing to see a guy saying, "I got this," and finish it out and go 110 pitches. I mean, it's the biggest dance that there is next to the next one. You don't get to the next one without winning this one. I just thought it was an unbelievable performance last night on the mound.
Yeah, Dave Roberts, Yamamoto was never in trouble. First hit of the game, hit the home run. It's 1-0, and then after that, he was pretty much in cruise control. He knows his pitcher. He talks to his pitching coach, and just was never in trouble. You would hate to turn the game over at that point and have something happen, and your bullpen not throw well, which the Dodgers bullpen coming into the playoffs was a little shaky.
Yeah, it sure was. Now let's finish out and look at the other side, and look at the Mariners and the Blue Jays. We're going to have Roger Clemens coming up with us later. Hopefully, we can ask him a little bit about the Blue Jays. You know, he played for the Blue Jays at some point, but in his career. But it's interesting. These road teams going in and getting a victory, any kind of victory, is so important early in these series.
Oh yeah, and for the Mariners, I mean, they're a pretty good ball team. They had to compete the whole season just to get in the playoffs and win their division. First time since 2001 that they've been able to do that. So, and we talked about starting pitching in the National League. It's been about the bullpen in the American League for the Mariners. In Game 1, after Bryce Miller, New Braunfels product, came in to Texas A&M, pitched 6 strong innings. The bullpen came in and threw 3 perfect innings. So the bullpen really picked them up in a close game, a 3-1 game. And in Game 2, they came in and only gave up 1 hit in 6 innings. So the bullpen for the Mariners, 9 innings, have only given up 1 hit in this series against a Toronto team that came in seeded number 1.
Yeah, it's seeded number 1. And when you look at Toronto, the first thing that jumps off the page to me is what they do offensively. It's a big bopping team. I mean, they've got guys top to bottom that can hurt you, and they can hurt you with the long ball.
Yeah, and that's what makes what the Mariners are doing, going in there and just pretty much shutting them down to just 2 runs in 2 games, or 4 runs in 2 games. So don't look for that same thing to happen in Seattle. I think Toronto will make some adjustments. They won't have to face 1 and 2 in the rotation, but Mariners are good. They proved that, and both visiting teams have gone in and taken home field advantage away.
Our predictions right now, the Dodgers are just, I'll be the first to go. I think the Dodgers have got this pretty much in hand, even though at the beginning of the series, like I said, if you'd have asked me, I would have taken the Brewers. And on the other side, I'm not sure who's going to win the American League. I know this. I'm pretty sure it's going back to Toronto to end in that series.
It could be a 6-gamer. I don't know. I don't think it'll go 7. I think it'll go 6, but so far, you've seen really good pitching, and the hitting has been there also. The Mariners have hit the ball. The Dodgers have hit the long ball. So they're both going home where they're going to feel comfortable. And all they got to do is win 2 more to go to the big dance to the World Series. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's fun to watch. This is the best time of the season, in my opinion, is playoff baseball.
Last thing I have for you, and we'll close it down, is just when I start to look at this time of the year and think about something that you and I cover on a regular basis, and that's college baseball, is this is such an unusual time because all the fall balls are coming to the close here. We're getting to late October. Some people will have a couple more weeks of fall, of what their fall spring training or whatever. Then we'll have a transfer portal that will open up to you. Just to your thoughts, do you see going forward, not only just at Texas, but around? Are you hearing things? I'm hearing that there are going to be some people move in this mid time from the end of this semester going into the spring semester where the regular season takes place.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be. I mean, Texas played what, two inter squad games, scrimmage games against Tech, and I think Lamar was the other one.
Yeah.
And you kind of learned what you have brought in. And Texas can look at that, and a player could be like, well, I kind of see where I stand. And it's really up to the player. It's a player transfer portal. And some people want to pitch. They might not be pitching at Texas or LSU or Mississippi State. So they're going to try to go somewhere. So I think we'll see some movement. I don't know if it'd be any big name movement because those guys already have their NIL from the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing about it now is that kids are going to go where they get the best offer, in my opinion. So I think we might see some of that in the months to come. Texas, I don't think we'll see much action from them, but they look good in one game this fall and not so good in the next game. So it's going to come down to who's prepared in the spring. And I really like what Texas has in the lineup and in the organization.
I definitely do. What are you looking forward to? Is there anything you're looking forward to this week before we get together next week?
Looking forward to Texas playing Kentucky and winning.
It's you. You're looking forward to. You're going to do something fun. You're going to. You got the wine and food festival coming. You preparing for that?
I got my good friend Rusty Richards is going to come in. We're going to have dinner with him on Friday here in Fredericksburg, and we got to take it easy because next week the big food and wine festival here in Fredericksburg, who is a great event. If you've never been, Haley Wakefield, my daughter, does a very good job of producing that, along with my wife's now working for us. Sarah's working, and it's a lot of work. I've been a volunteer furniture put together for the last month. So I don't know if I volunteered or I was just told to do it. So either way, we're getting the job done and looking forward to the event next week, and look forward to talking to you again. We got to set us a date.
Yeah, we'll set a date. We'll get it done. But I went from my week is pretty good. We broadcast high school football on Thursday night, and I'm leaving Friday for Lexington, Kentucky to go see the Longhorns and the Kentucky Wildcats, and then a little Buffalo Trace on Sunday, a little Bourbon Trail to spend the day and coming back on Monday. So thanks for spending the time with us this week. Thanks to Roger Clemens for spending your time with us on our podcast. And Zeke, I had fun. Let's do it again.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to it. And I'm kind of jealous about that Buffalo Trace tour you're going on.
You want Blanton's or what do we bring you? I'll bring you one.
Oh, no, I'll probably have a few while you're out there.
Okay. See ya.
Thanks,
See you next week, folks.
All righty.